There's new evidence of foul play and fake phone messages that could throw out his conviction and set Kartel free.
He's an influential cultural icon.
There's new evidence of foul play and fake phone messages that could throw out his conviction and set Kartel free.
We stand strong, stand up like a man. Gaza Nation. Welcome to SouFLoTV again, everybody. It is your host with the most. So, Vybz Kartel's murder case interview with human rights attorney Isat Buchanan on Fox 5 News. This is huge. What I will seek to do is to clarify to the audience who don't understand what's really going on, what this is all about, why some people are so excited right now, especially the people who have been championing the cause, advocating, and helping to fight for the freedom of Vybz Kartel. It's looking really, really good right now. Keep calm. Keep calm. Don't get overly excited yet. But I think under the table right now, you can start clapping. And in a low voice, you can start applauding. I think that applaud is going to get louder till our pot cover start beat. Listen, new evidence and foul play and fake phone messages. That is the topic of this one. You understand? New evidence, foul play, and fake phone messages. So, Isat Buchanan said, because that video, you can go watch the video on Fox 5 News, but I am not a news reporter. I am somebody who takes that information and we break it down so everybody else can understand exactly what is going on. All right, so Isat says, looking at the evidence, this case was about getting Vybz Kartel in prison and leaving him there. In other words, this wasn't about Lizard. This wasn't about justice. This was about something else. This was an agenda after Vybz Kartel. Now, certainly, what we do now know is that there was tampering of that cell phone. That evaluation, because you know when you say there was tampering of the cell phone, the naysayers, the doubters, the haters as we call them, they are going to say, the cell phone never get tampered with, on the top the foolishness. But hear what? That information came through an evaluation that came from a court-ordered British digital expert who was flown in from the UK. All right? So I remember the DPP, Department of Public Prosecution, said at his appeal, which was denied at the Jamaica level, that is why it went to the Privy Council. I remember them saying, we reviewed it and we don't find there to be any tampering of any evidence. Well, none of them are digital experts. That is why digital expert was flown in. Okay, this is a court-authorized British digital expert that was flown in from the UK. That, along with clear violation of Kartel's constitutional rights, earned him the chance to appeal the conviction to the UK Privy Council. The UK Privy Council is similar in power to the United States Supreme Court. Isat Buchanan said, our hope is that the Privy Council, in reviewing the evidence, including the fresh evidence that will be put before them, would come to the conclusion that everyone has looked at the case or is certainly have access to the material would find that the conviction is unsafe and cannot stand. The Privy Council has several options. Those several options, as you already know, they could declare a mistrial, retrial, time reduced, all that kind of stuff. Okay, the Privy Council has several options, but we are focusing on the best one for the dancehall king Vybz Kartel, and we are looking for a complete overturn of the conviction, and naturally for Mr. Palmer and his co-defendants to be freed. If you've been following the case closely, you know that one of those co-defendants, I believe it was Kahir Jones, one of those co-defendants will not be coming out because there was a separate charge of murder that he got caught up on and was convicted on that as well, after he was already in prison serving his time for this case with Vybz Kartel. Seeing? So he won't be coming out. But if this whole Privy Council thing goes as according to plan, as I think it should go, because the Privy Council is not Jamaica's kangaroo court. The Privy Council is very different. They look at the starch evidence that is presented before them, right? And that only. So if it goes that way, one of the guys will not be walking out, but the rest will be. Sean Storm will come out. Vybz Kartel will come out. So for all the people who are saying, how come y'all always say free Vybz Kartel, but you never do stories on Sean Storm and say free Sean Storm? Because Vybz Kartel is the bigger picture. And once he busts off the case, then the others will walk as well. All right. So Attorney Buchanan says that he plans to file a fresh evidence application to the Privy Council within the next several weeks. He is confident that after a thorough review, justice will prevail and Vybz Kartel will be a free man by next year. Next year, because we already know how they work, it's kind of a slow process. Holidays come, they take holidays, they go for breaks. We are already past the halfway mark for this year. We only have 5 months left. And one of those, which is December, is a whole celebratory month of the whole Christmas season leading into the new year. You know, so people want to go out of the yard, go party and all these kind of things. So those in positions of power usually take break around that time. Now, like we have always said before, there is no way in the context of law was that cell phone supposed to be admitted into evidence based on what the officer, the Jamaica Constabulary Force officer, had admitted to doing with that phone. It was that simple. It should have been thrown out. And based on the fact that that conviction came down on largely circumstantial evidence and what was on that phone or perceived to be credible evidence on that phone, the phone was the yes or no. And it worked against Vybz Kartel. The phone itself should have never been presented. For those of you who don't know, a JCF officer took that phone after Vybz Kartel was arrested, took the phone from the evidence room, brought the phone home with him for the night, brought the phone back some other time. When it came time for court and they finally found the phone, he said, I only carry home the phone for one night. And I didn't do anything with the phone. My credit did done on my phone. And I just used that phone to make one phone call. Well, sir, whether you used it to make one phone call or 1,000 phone calls, you did wrong. As an officer of the law, you took it out of the evidence room and had it at your personal residence, using it for personal use. That can no longer be admitted in court as credible evidence, because now you have opened the window to us having to say, hey, well, if he took it out of the evidence room, which he should not have done, how are we to take him at his word that all he did was make one phone call and brought it back to the evidence room? So based on that, for the slow people that still don't understand or don't want to understand, that is where that is at. And we've said it all these years. And here we are with the same thing. By the way, all the icons you're seeing throughout this video are videos we have done on this topic. We're not one of the new vloggers that just jumped on the topic because it gets hot right now. We're not a bandwagonist. We were championing this cause when everybody else was against us. Shout out to Gaza Diva. We've been doing this for years now, from the beginning of all this. So you're actually looking at the whole process when we go through this. Keep in mind that it has been an uphill battle. Listen up. It has been an uphill battle for the defense team of Vybz Kartel to get the okay to have the phone inspected by experts, to have the phone in their possession so they can. And they still were not allowed to have the phone in their possession. It had to be done in a way where others were able to view what they were doing with the phone, etc., etc. Why would they have denied them the right? constitutional rights violation comes into play. I'm breaking it down for you so you understand exactly what's going on and don't let nobody twist up your head otherwise. Constitutional rights violation comes into play when the accused, which is Vybz Kartel and his team and his co-defendants, when the accused is refused the opportunity and denied the right to have access to the evidence that will be used against them in court. It is a constitutional right in the Jamaican Constitution to be granted this opportunity to allow the accused and their defense to be able to mount a solid defense after witnessing, going through, fixing up, seeing the evidence physically, personally, that will be used against them. Kartel them were denied that right. That is why a decade later they're finally getting to the right to have the phone inspected, and based on what this court approved digital expert that was flown in from the UK analysis is of the situation, it now finds new evidence. That is why it says that Isat Buchanan will now submit to the Privy Council this application for new evidence. The new evidence is the findings from the court authorized British digital expert who was flown into Jamaica to inspect and evaluate this phone. This digital expert find that the phone was tampered with. So Paula Llewellyn and all of them who said, oh, we didn't find anything wrong with the phone, and the phone no tampering of evidence or anything, they're not digital experts. This digital expert says that phone was tampered with. It can now be argued that this is why they had been fighting Kartel's legal team so hard for so long about access to the phone, because they knew that they were being shady, and they knew that if given access, it would be proven in his favor, which means ultimately his conviction would have to be thrown out. They didn't want that though. This was never about justice. This was never about Lizard. This was a botched up, trumped up case for the sole purpose of putting Vybz Kartel in prison and keeping him there. Again, the DPP claimed no evidence of tampering, and the digital expert says otherwise. Gaza Nation, keep calm. We've been saying for a decade now that freedom is a must. Why didn't Tom Tavares Finson go at it like this in the first place? I don't know. But I do think that Isat Buchanan, a young, brilliant mind, was destined for this role at this time in history. Listen, Vybz Kartel has a new album coming out as well. Okay? Go check out for that and make sure you do the best, which is support the thing for real. We don't just support on social media. We actually spend with $1, $2 and support for real. You know what I mean. I'll catch you on the next video with SouFLoTV. I'm out. Freedom is a must. Haha.